Hello on the Rockers, it's the sound of music today with the man so talented, he needs 3 names. We welcome Alexander Lloyd Blake, Grammy-nominated conductor, composer, arranger, and vocal contractor, working at the intersection of music, storytelling, and social justice, from the community to Hollywood studios, with my co-host model musician, Steven Dehler, and me, your sassy host with the sassy most, buttons and bows and pantyhose.
The place where too glam to give a damn, raise a glass,
It's on the rocks. Clink.
Thank you for being
Boulevard.
Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Hello, hello, hello. Well, welcome to the show. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at On The Rocks On Air, and on Facebook, On The Rocks Radio Show. Send us an email. Book us for a pride, wedding, funeral, quinceanera, bris. We don't care. We'll show up. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. Send us your comments, your guest requests, and your guest questions.
Yes, this show is presented by Straw Hut Media. You can watch and or listen to every one of our over 400 episodes on ontherocksradioshow.com, YouTube, Facebook Watch, on I Love Gay LGBTQ, and of course, Bearwood Magazine.
Rawr. And On The Rocks on the road, Orange County, we are coming for you. We are your MCs all day on July 25th at the Orange County Fair at the Plaza Stage. All day. Get ready to get glam with Out at the Fair. We did San Diego a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we did.
That was interesting. Come see us. Buy us drinks.
Yes.
Also, make sure you check out our TikTok and Instagram because we are adding new segments and some really fun behind-the-scenes footage of our shenanigans and our cocktail recipe making.
Yes.
We recently just tested out the new Madonna Tabasco vodka by Absolute.
We're kind of noobs when it comes to making cocktails.
We forgot the ice.
Yeah, I forgot the ice, but fuck ice.
Yes. And P.S. I almost died while sampling.
Oh yeah, it was a little spicy for this guy
A
over
little
here.
spicy for the Latino.
Yeah. Roll your R's for me.
Anyway, go to our TikTok to see that fun video at On The Rocks On Air. All right, we have a lot to talk about, so let's welcome our guest of honor, ALB. 3 names. Alexander Lloyd Blake, Los Angeles-based conductor, composer, arranger, and vocal contractor whose work spans the concert hall, recording studio, and the film stage. As artistic director of 2-time Grammy-winning group Tonality, he leads one of the country's most distinctive choral ensembles, known for its commitment to social justice, its adventurous programming, and its community reach. His screen credits as a vocal contractor, conductor, and arranger include The Addams Family 2, Space Jam, Hulu's The Other Black Girl, and as a studio vocalist, he's contributed to the soundtracks of Us, The Lion King, Hulu's Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, by the way. He received a Grammy nomination as a co-arranger of Scott Hoyne from Pentatonix, by the way, song Rose Without Thorns, also featuring Tonality, by the way. And he is among the speakers selected for TEDx South Central 2026. In 2025, Blake premiered his original choral suite, Running From, Running To, a musical reflection on Ahmaud Arbery. And on September 20th, here in Los Angeles, Tonality will perform the music from the album in a major concert marking one of the most profound evenings in the ensemble's history. And if you are unfamiliar with the story, we're going to talk about it, and you're going to want to tune in because it is a lesson for all of us. And this last 4th of July weekend, Alexander performed alongside his ensemble, conducting Tonality at the America Block Party, benefiting Giving Forth, presented by America 250, the official U.S. Semi-Quinticentennial Commission. Can you believe I said that?
You know what?
The vodka hasn't kicked in.
You had to do some vocalize for that one.
And it was at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, providing the choral arrangements that backed up Queen Latifah and Anthony Ramos, by the way. If that was enough. Film lovers, Blake recently served as one of the choir conductors on The Odyssey. We know that's Christopher Nolan's big opus. We're going to get a little behind the scenes of what that was like. He also served as contractor and conductor on Whalefall, the 20th Century Studios releasing in October with Tonality as the choir. And if you haven't seen that trailer, Lord help us. The back-to-back screen credits mark a significant moment for the ensemble Tonality, which is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year. Let's take a look at Alexander in action with Tonality. All right, that was gorgeous. Almost as gorgeous as us. Please welcome the 3-9 maestro, Alexander Lloyd Blake.
Hello.
Do you get tired of hearing like your resume? That's a lot.
It is a lot.
And you're so young.
Thank you.
Not that young, but you know. Yeah, right.
But do you ever be like, God, I did all that. I've done all of that.
It's funny. It's so weird sitting and just listening to that. I'm just like, oh, this is what it passed.
You're like, oh, I did that too. Oh wait, and then I did that too.
Yeah. Too busy. I need to take a rest. But yes, no, it's just great to be able to do all the things, you know.
Yeah. Well, this is your life. This is your life. Before we get to your amazing work and some of the social work that you've done, including your last decade with Tonality, let's go a little bit back in time and figure out how you became you. How we became these three names. Hailing from North Carolina, what was your exposure to music? Did it come from family, a show you saw, a movie you saw? When was it like, oh, I love music?
I grew up in church, you know, like Whitney Houston. And yeah, and I just sang in choir, and I was the little kid who was the nerd who sang in the adult choir because I like singing harmonies. And
I did that with my mom too.
See?
That's crazy.
Greatness, that's where it starts. And I just sang. I didn't really see a future in music, but it was just something that came to me. I would do those little, you know, you go to the mall, you sing those little solo things. It was Jacksonville, North Carolina, so it wasn't anything crazy. Yeah, in high school, I did a program over the summer, and then I took the AP Music Theory test kind of on a whim. I did really well, and so that was it.
Isn't it funny? People that have church music as their foundation, you learn harmonies, you learn how to read music, and which is the foundation. Even people, and I know you're playing by ear lately, but the foundation is church music. Really is a good start, especially when you get a solo. You know, all the nerves and all of that, and you begin to learn how to blend. You learn how to follow a conductor, all of that stuff. Very interesting. So, but you weren't like the choir nerd in high school.
I mean, I was a choir nerd.
Okay.
In middle school.
Yeah.
I feel like I was always bullying my friends to like foreign groups, having them come to my house.
Maybe like the other way around.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, so would you mind singing this part right now? And so I just did that forever.
Now, what kind of music as a youngster were you really getting into? It wasn't choral music, was it?
It was gospel music.
Oh, it was?
Mm-hmm. I was going to be a gospel music director. That was kind of my...
That was your thing?
Yeah.
Talk about growing up in North Carolina. What did North Carolina, growing up in that environment with your family, what did it teach you most how to prepare you for life today that you still subscribe to?
Yeah, I think, you know, I still subscribe to faith. Obviously, it shows its face in so many ways these days. But what I remember was the messages about love and about acceptance. Even growing up gay and very closeted in North Carolina. But I think just kind of the message of, you know, love can save us, internally and externally. I like to live by that. And I think Tonality would not be if I had not gone through that experience. But yeah, I mean, North Carolina. I tell some people, no offense, love you all, that I escaped. But no, I think I learned, you know, really about family and learned about connection. And my mother always said that the city that I grew up in was too small for me. And so, you know, I went to college, and I think I was just trying to figure my way. But being gay in church, being Black in classical music, I feel like the margins are where I live.
Oh, we're going to talk about all of that.
Yeah.
But talk about your relationship with religion. I was raised Catholic. I sang at 3 different Catholic churches for 13 years as a cantor. I don't deal with that side of my life at all anymore, but it sounds like you've been able to mesh spirituality and faith with who you are today. And we as queer men, it's such a taboo subject. He's like, oh, I'm still religious. People are like...
I feel like you have to come out of the closet again.
Yes, right.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
No, I think because I've known I was gay for as long as I can remember. So having to separate Christ from Christians was something I had to do early, and I think it's protected me when you see all the craziness. And I was like, God save us from your people kind of thing. So yeah, for me, I still find it kind of like my inspiration. When I'm at the gym, I'm listening to gospel music.
Really?
Yeah, as I'm praying to pick up these heavy weights and not break my back, you know. But yeah, I've always found like that kind of, I think because I was gay and because I had this secret, I always knew that my relationship with God was very intimate. And so it wasn't really tied to like the congregation, but I think gospel music for me was my way in. So kind of having music with a purpose, music with emotion, music where I like that held my secret, that always connected.
It's funny they say taking Christ away from Christian. I think if Christ was here today, he would take himself
he
away
would
from
be
Christian.
so
He'd be like, girl, no.
Yeah, right.
No, that's not what I meant.
He's like, I don't know her.
You're right. Yeah, maybe it is. I don't know the story.
Jesus, are you Catholic? He's like, as if.
Right.
I just walk on water over here.
Yeah, this water's not mine. Okay, no. Now we just lost our sponsorship from the Catholic Church.
Right.
No,
Sorry,
lights are going down. That was great.
Avoid rain clouds.
Yeah. But talk about the pressures of growing up as a black man in North Carolina. You know, there's certain assumptions of what a black man needs to grow up to be in terms of the family, the job you should have, and then you're in music, which is queer enough, right? Can you talk about that kind of pressure that you felt while being in the closet?
Yeah, I think, I feel like this is like the Velvet Rage, but melanated. But, like the need to succeed. I feel like I've been most likely to succeed since second grade. So I kind of targeted all of my worth into being the smart one, being the one who followed the rules, and I think in some ways I'm still working on that, as you read that too busy bio. But yeah, I think that was kind of how I protected myself. I'm sure people knew, but I think in high school, like I was the busybody. I was in student council. I was doing all the clubs.
So you were like the popular one.
I was the busy one.
The busy one.
Like people knew me because they knew I was doing stuff. I wasn't like I was cool.
But you never got bullied for being like the perfect student?
In middle school, I was more bullied in elementary school. I think I was really nice. I got over that in high school. And so people were like, Alex is the one you don't want to mess with. Not because he's violent, but he'll say a thing or two, So
You stuck up for yourself.
I did. I had learned, I think, the nice way sounds sad. The nice way didn't really work. And so, I got sassy and witty.
What you got to do?
Well, and in interviews, you've talked about how you became interested in social justice very early on. You were reading books about civil rights. You were reading books about slavery. This was just an interest. I mean, I was reading like the Hardy Boys and like Choose Your Own Adventure. And you're reading these kind of like books that are covering these like dark issues. How did that come about? Aside from being part of the Black community, obviously you wanted to understand about, the slavery experience. But besides that, social justice, whether it be women's rights, whether it be gun control, these are themes that you've always been fighting for. As a young kid, how does that just come into your lap and your interest? It's like, I like Dungeons and Dragons, social justice, March, and it was like, what?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm a Libra and then, like, there's something about scales. Who knows? But I think when I read the first book, reading about
how did that book come to you?
How did it come to me? I know my church went to the Holocaust Museum. Like we took a bus there, but I think this happened after. I don't know. I was in middle school. I think I picked up a book. Because I was a nerd, right? That
part.
I was like, wait, but
you don't look too nerdy now, I'll tell you that much.
A lot of changes.
Yeah. Hello, biceps.
Yeah, right. So there was like this reading program, and I used to be like an overweight kid and an overweight adult. And so I still love free things. And so we had to read. And we would get like free pizza, like free personal pans. So that was the inspiration.
If you read a number of books.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
would have read so much more books if I had that.
He doesn't need an excuse to eat a pizza. Yes. And I'm the chunky one. But I remember that you would read a number of books and then they would bring in the little, and it was the shittiest pizza, but we would get so excited, right?
Because it was free.
They didn't do it at my school.
Simi Valley. Here's a free cow. Moo. Moo. Did your family look at like, what a weird kid? He wants to fight for social justice and he wants to be in music and...
Look, I was like dancing like crazy, and hardly any clothes. I'm sure they were looking at me like I was weird for so many reasons. just add another one.
To the list.
But
have they been supportive of your career, especially early on? I mean, your whole education is music.
Yeah, I think certainly, my mother was, she got her master's, and I think kind of I followed the trajectory of too much schooling. And I think they've been really happy and shocked as I am, just seeing the things. And like I said, I don't come from a musical family. So I think they were just kind of like, figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And in terms of music, we look at Black musicians and this is from the outside, from my ignorance, but we assume things of what a Black musician, what kind of music they're going to be getting into. You got into classical, you got into choral. How was that journey kind of brought to you and really like attracted you?
Yeah, so like I said, I wanted to do gospel music, but I grew up gay and I was like, I don't know if this is a life for me. Can't do it. It's been done, but yeah, not for me. So I joined choir in middle school, and it was more classical. But because of the music that I did, the gospel music, and some of the music lessons I took in church, it just all felt easy. And, you know, I didn't know what I didn't know. So as I'm like learning about theory and learning about things, like, and watching people have to deal with, you know, figuring out harmonies and that kind of stuff. I don't know if you like dictation. The first time I did dictation was on the AP Music Theory test. I remember my counselor was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know." It just makes sense because I've been doing harmonies for so long.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it wasn't as difficult of a transition. It was like we're singing,
Right.
and now we're just singing about things that I don't want to say that didn't matter, but when I started doing classical music, it didn't really seem like we talked about the meaning behind the words. It was just, this is music and it's beautiful, and you should know that it's beautiful. And
Right.
Yeah.
It's like militant almost in a way.
exactly, yeah.
Can you talk about the power of singing as a group? We know that ensemble singing has been around since ancient times. You know, the Greek choruses, the Greek ensembles, to even spirituals is group singing to keep a population together, to, like you mentioned, the power of middle school, high school, or choirs. Can you talk about the power and what you've seen with Tonality when people get together and sing, not just what power that has for the people singing it, but for the people hearing it? There's a certain power with that's over just a soloist.
Yeah, I think, you know, with singers, our bodies are instruments. And I think we naturally resonate with others. And so when you hear people singing, especially people singing together, I think that's just a natural resonating space. So if anyone's in that room and experiencing that, I think your body has some physical kind of relation to that. But I think also just for me, when you think of a choir and a choir sounding beautiful, I think it just naturally relaxes people, which is really important when you're talking about very divisive subjects. I always say, I mean, it's really hard to hate a choir unless you don't like their sound, you know. So I feel like we've been able to experience talking about really divisive things because choirs naturally just feel very humane. And I think it's really hard for someone, not difficult or not impossible as we found, but hard for someone to say, "Oh man, that choir singing beautifully really angers me."
Right. And music has been used for every revolution, every civil rights movement, every march, every protest. There's been a
protest.
A protest. But music has been used for all of that because it is so moving. It's so powerful to unite. And, you know, we joke about, oh, Madonna came out with a new album and God, how old is she and whatever. But we still kind of united as a queer community with queer joy, whether we like the album or not. We came together and we talked about it. And we talked about the power of some of her songs from the past for some of us growing up. And, you know, even pop divas as a whole. You know, I know Britney is very special to you, not just because, you know, she hit all the moves and she was fabulous, but because that was part of your coming out.
Yeah, she's an ally. She's an ally to the
Yeah.
community.
And it's this kind of music that just has power with everything that you do.
Yeah.
I mean, even like look at Woodstock. Woodstock changed like a whole culture, and that was a music festival. There's this assumption, and so let's feed this into from choir to classical music. There's this assumption that classical music is for rich white people, and that's fueled by, if you want to go to the opera, it's $300 a ticket, and you have to wear a tuxedo. If you want to go to a nice classical whatever, you have to dress a certain way, and then, you know, also classical choral music is not being taught in our public schools on a wide level. It takes a very special public school to have that kind of program. So there's this income disparity that happens between, well, you know, you come from a lower income family, so you're not going to have access to be able to learn how to play the violin or sing in a choir or learn what classical music is, or God forbid, attend classical. So that's the assumption, is that classical music is aging itself out and it's only for a very certain group. You have really seen classical music on all sides of it from your identity, checking so many boxes, right? Can you talk about the relevancy that classical music has today and the fact that it is not dying and what we can do to support it and bring it into regular culture? That was a big question. By the
No,
way.
it's good. And I have a lot of thoughts, but we don't have
Start
all
the
day.
timer now.
Yes. So, I have a doctorate in classical music, which means I've been studying it for way too long. And I remember, I think we as classical musicians also have a part to play in how we talk about, how we teach, and how we contextualize classical music. I feel like it's taught to us as if it's this like higher, holier than thou thing.
100%.
And
It's the Bible almost.
yeah,
like, to me,
absolutely.
you know?
And it's like, you just need to know it's valuable.
Right.
We don't need to tell you why.
So this is the foundation of all music.
Oh my,
thing,
yeah.
right?
So, right.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, no, it's not. But, coming from, I could sit here and tell you the number of experiences I had within my grad school programs of like things I did well. Oh, well, that's just because. Or, being asked on the spot in front of a class to give a description of a civil rights piece, like my cousin wrote it like the night before, and we talked about it. Literally, and I was like, we really,
you're black, know.
Literally.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What did you do? Because I know you're a gentleman and you're a professional. How do you not be just like, bitch?
You do
Which
that
is
in
a
so many
stereotype
ways.
too.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just any way you respond. Yeah.
Wow, I'm so culturally appropriate. I'm culturally literate.
Could you imagine? I would love to, but no, I think in that moment, I kind of feel like if you're slapped, you're just like, did that just happen? Yeah. So yeah, there have been times I've had to write. Someone said something, we were in the middle of class and someone said something kind of inappropriate or at least awkward and everyone looked at me. Like, I'm not the only one who speaks English. Like you all know,
Right.
This is awkward. And I remember I had to write the professor about this after, and he, came to me and was just like, oh, that was really sad, and maybe we're going to have a choir retreat and maybe you could talk about like Martin Luther King Day. And I was like, yeah, my name's not PBS. Like you literally can look this up.
Yeah.
I want to talk about how we treat each other.
Right.
So I feel like that kind of work that Tonality does and that I do now was already starting just to get out of grad school. So I go all the way back to say that like we get in our own way. And I think I talked about this online, I think a couple of weeks ago, about how school sometimes feels like the scariest place to be seen as not knowing. And so I feel like if classical music wants to be seen as something that is offered to everyone, you got to take the chip off the shoulder. And you got to know that you don't know everything. And certainly when it comes to other cultures and other people and populations, perhaps learning their interests and then tying it back to classical music is the way, as opposed to just being like, well, we're here and we're valuable. You should just know.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a rant.
There is a rant, but it's a good rant.
Yeah.
And in the terms of our classical music instructors being real. So I went to Chapman University, which is in Orange County. I got a music scholarship. That scholarship was taken away from me 6 months in because their instructors were it was all about the math of the music and it was all about this. And I understand some people excel at that and some people don't. I was musical theater. I should never have been in that, but it took all the joy out of music for me because there was this, they were just snobby and it was not fun. And it's like, how do you take all the joy out of this?
Well,
and so I got kicked out of the program and I never went back to that music program ever again.
And what a loss for them. I say this so often. I'm glad I can say this here.
Yes.
Sight reading and theory is not the holy grail of musicianship. I love math. I was going to major in math. I love sight reading. I'm such a nerd about that stuff. And I grew up in church where we didn't have a sheet music in sight. Someone sings to you and you immediately sing the harmonies.
And that's the nature of gospel. When I see a singer that's able to do that, I'm in awe. I need my sheet music, but I also enjoy the benefits of sight reading too.
Yeah. But, when I went to, in my undergrad, I remember a teacher said to me when I showed up and I sight read something, he was like, what instrument do you play? And I was like, I don't play an instrument. And we went back and forth and argued. I was like, wait, I just met you. Why am I arguing about my past?
Yeah.
And he was like, singers don't sight read like that. And I was like, that's such a rude statement. Obviously also untrue since I'm standing here. But then I got around my singing friends and was like, oh, okay, understood. But, so I feel like I've excelled in music because sight reading and theory came easily. Then I moved out here. And I might get myself in trouble, seems to be what I do.
We're very honest on this show,
I joined whether it was, I'll just say music in all aspects. And when sight reading became a barrier, it became really interesting for whom it became a barrier.
Please expand on this.
So, I was a singer, I went through grad school, all these things, and then I started a choir that has auditions. So I'm working with and around the singers that I'm dealing with in all aspects, whether I'm a singer, conductor, contractor, all these things. So there are rooms and there are experiences that are kind of, I will say, gatekept by sight reading. And I know who's in and outside of those rooms.
Yeah.
I've been inside and outside of those rooms as an auditionee, as an auditioner. So I don't know everyone, but I have some idea of skills of the people I've been around. And it's really interesting to me that the people who are kept in or kept out of those rooms does not necessarily coincide with the skill set that I imagined. And then you think about who is kept in and out of those rooms. Who is it assumed that has the skills and who doesn't? And as someone who also teaches sight reading, I've worked with a number of singers, and particularly Black singers, who will say, I don't know how to sight read. And then we'll start going through things. I was like, what do you think that's called? I handed you music and you sang it. I don't know the other term. I call that sight reading. So it's like there's this it becomes, when those kind of skills and the lack thereof become associated to types of singing, types of populations, it becomes another way that we just kind of create this hierarchy. And unfortunately, some of that is around culture and race. And until we actually start to really see that, I think that some of those things that are perpetuated, some of the things that we're yelling about around the country are right here within our system too.
And there's a snobbiness I used to have with, and like you said, coming to LA from Orange County, and I would go on, I was just on musical theater auditions. You'd give your sheet music and it was scored and all that, and they would play it, whatever. But then somebody would say, oh, come sing at my bar tonight and whatever. And I'm like, oh, who's your piano player? Oh, they're amazing. And I'd bring all my sheet music with all the notes, and they're like, oh, no, I don't read music. Just let me look at the chords and can you hum it to me? And I was like, oh. And then sometimes it was some of the most challenging but invigorating, because it was like the song was new to me, because they put this whole fresh life into that. And literally it was from just humming them a few bars or, oh, I think I know that song, and then playing around with the keys and then no sheet music at all. And you're kind of learning this as well because you're a classically trained pianist, but you've started enjoying just kind of playing by ear a little bit.
Yeah.
And you surprised yourself.
Yeah, I started to revisit it a little bit because I was trained in sight reading my whole life. So I don't usually memorize music at all. I'm always just put it in front of my face, I'll play it. But yeah, and then recently I had a friend that inspired me, and I started to just play the chords with the song and started to just ad-lib it all that. So,
and there's a certain freedom that needs to happen in music,
right?
Because we're not all telling the same story with music. Judy Garland couldn't read music. Pavarotti couldn't read music, and you're like, what?
You're like, we know them. We know them as good musicians. And there have been a number of situations, including the one I was just in this weekend, where you were in a place where I don't get to pull out Sibelius. And there have been TV shows that I've had to arrange on the spot. And I remember saying to a composer, if I had classical singers in the session, we would not have been able to get through this.
That's 100% true.
So, both, for me, the best musicians are the ones that can do it all.
Right.
So talk about this. You don't have to use names or anything, but you did a very big event. You had a very popular singer who we know is a big professional who didn't maybe have their music, and you had to do something right on the spot. That gives me such anxiety. I can't even tell you.
Me too.
It was televised. Televised. It wasn't a big event.
Yeah. And they apologized, which is great. It was just funny. But yeah, I was like, okay. Waking up that morning because we had things to do before the recording session, I was like, today's going to be one of those days we're just going to make it up. And I think those are the days of my gospel training definitely kicks in.
Yeah.
Because I'm having to come up with harmonies on the spot. But then from that, I can use my theories okay, so we're in this key and I need to find these notes and I need to go this way kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's funny. I never thought that I would have to do that once, let alone do that multiple times for the biggest. It only happens on the biggest projects.
That's what people don't realize about Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's very last minute. Like, oh, it's slap it
I was just saying
together.
earlier, having at every stage, I think of like, tears. It doesn't matter if it's like a AAA movie or if it's you're doing, a Broadway, a little show down the street. Like, sometimes it just happens last second.
Yeah, but it's talent and it works.
It's funny
it comes
though.
together and it works.
I was like, is it a problem that it works? Because then people don't feel like they have to change because it's like, oh, it got done. It was beautiful. It's like, right.
But I also think it's just like a lot of artistic people also like are up to like that kind of challenge. We're really good on the toes.
Yeah.
And having to do that makes the creative juices flow because it's like you have no choice but to really get into it.
And we should always challenge ourselves. I feel like those teachers at Chapman hadn't challenged themselves in years, so they were just like, this, and it was so boring. So talking about class, you're a doctor. Oh, I got the vapors. But you're studying.
See you after the show.
Yeah. Doctor, pain is killing me.
Cough twice.
So I can sing about it. That's about it.
Cough. But you went from Wake Forest University in North Carolina to UCLA and USC. That's a lot of school. You touched on like what your best classes were. What were some of your worst classes? You're like, oh God, I don't want to do this kind of class.
Worst classes. I've never been like a big, ironically, like I read specific history things when it relates to social justice stories. I think that keeps me interested.
Sure.
But just general history. Yeah, I was like, just give me a math problem, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I want a problem, I want to solve it and be done. So I think those are the classes that I found the most difficult. Frankly, also classical music history. Even today.
Some of it's very dry though.
Well, it's just like,
some of it's fun. Like Mozart is kind of fun.
It could be fun. Like when I had to do projects for, different things, and then I would read about like, oh, writing this piece actually could have like killed, this person. Or gotten this person killed. It's like, why didn't you talk about that?
Yeah. Or they were deaf and arranged all this. It's like, that's crazy
I
to
want
me.
to hear, and I know like everything can't be sensationalized, but when it's just like, frankly, white man after white man after white man, they lived, they died, they lived, they died.
Yep.
I was like, it's hard for me to like remember. I saw The Tudors, and that kind of helped me through that era. Probably not all
Henry
history.
Cavill.
Well, my movie, my music theory that I took at like a junior college, they made us watch The Red Violin.
I love that movie. I love that movie. You haven't seen The Red Violin. It's an independent film with actors from all over the world. It ends, I think, with Samuel L. Jackson.
I think so.
Yeah, it really does.
But it was great. Yeah, that one. You just see the story of a violin and how it basically travels through history and through all these different people's hands.
That's one of my favorite movies. Really, really good.
See, I feel like that kind of just shows movies. Then I can remember. I remember I wrote a paper. It was like a test, actually, of history based off of watching some Netflix. Serious. I was like, oh, the drama, that's easy.
Was it hard relocating from North Carolina to California?
No.
You were just like, this is the place for me.
Like, I'm here.
But why California, not like New York?
So, yeah, I feel like the door is just kind of open. I feel like this is how my life has worked out. So I'll try to do the dots. I was in Winston-Salem. Robert Moody was the conductor of the Winston-Salem Symphony, and so I sang with the chorale. Donald Newen, who taught at Eastman, taught Robert Moody at Eastman, was now at UCLA. So he came to work with this former student. I got to know him and then followed him out here.
Was there any adjustment period? You were like, oh, this is how LA works. Now the gays are all out. Like all of this is happening.
Well, I wasn't out when I moved. No.
Get out.
I moved here.
He said no.
Not yet. No, I was.
That's a small closet to bring with you.
Yeah, right.
You know all your outfits.
I was 250 pounds, like before the gym, and I was
coming to LA like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I was
not,
like, oh, we don't eat.
Fun or easy.
We don't eat Tuesday through Thursday. Okay, got it.
Unless you're Steven.
But yeah, no, I think. I came for school. I always say this with my friends, like those who move out here just to like make it happen.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
I came because I had a full ride at a music program.
Yeah.
I was always good at school. So like moving here to do school was not that difficult.
Because you're just like focusing just in a different area and a more progressive area. So probably helped a lot with that.
And I mean, I didn't know anything about anything, which is probably not that different from now. But at the time, I thought Westwood was LA. Because that's all I knew. I didn't leave campus. I didn't do anything. I did cheerleading, so I was like,
And it kind of is its own really
Right.
It's,
You don't
it's a
have to go
bubble.
far.
For
Yeah,
well,
sure.
especially
Yeah.
with the cheerleading program, it's like either I was doing my schoolwork, I was doing concerts, or I was
We're
at games
busy.
on the weekend.
Yeah.
So like Westwood was it. And then I went to USC and I was like, wait, what?
You're like, oh, this is downtown.
Got it. I was like,
like a
LA
different
is a whole
culture.
thing.
Yeah.
I moved to West Hollywood not knowing what West Hollywood was. I'm like, oh, it's close to Hollywood, so that's probably better for auditions. I didn't know, like, the Abbey. I didn't know any of that. 3 months in working literally in West Hollywood, I was like, there's a gay bar. I'm like, what? It was crazy. But that's the kind of, we're kind of disassociated.
Yeah.
We think West Hollywood runs the show, and it really doesn't, especially when you're in the closet. So what gave you the courage to come out then?
Courage. I met a guy.
I was going to say, what was his name? I was going to say, like, what was his name?
Yes. I was like, courage. Courage is one word. But no, I met a guy, and honestly, I just started talking about him. And it just made it easier. I mean, I was coming out to people here. I remember there's a cheerleading guy, straight guy, and I think he was like the first person I talked to. Actually straight, he just got married, good for him. And I remember talking to him about it, and he was just like, okay. Like I was like
And then?
speaking
Yeah.
about like, Pepsi or something.
But for you, that's a big moment.
It was.
Yeah.
But you didn't have like this big coming out experience. It was just kind of here and there.
Yeah, it was just among friends. And then one time it was actually at a concert on the mic, which was crazy. We were doing this song where we invite people to tell stories. And so the song naturally vamps if the story goes too long. I had not considered that the story might be too short. And so
You had to fill.
I had to fill.
She's like, just like, I'm gay. just full panic mode.
And then they're cutting you off. They're like, that's enough. Yeah.
No, it was
How
that was
amazing.
it was
But
a crazy
music made you come out.
It did. And it was, by that moment, obviously my friends knew and all those things. So it was like coming out to the audience. But there was someone who had just moved to LA and said, I didn't know if I could come out until I heard your story.
Wow.
And I was like, this is why, we're all placed where we need to be.
What happened to the guy?
Oh, the first one?
Yeah.
The first was always a problem.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so-
And he's here today.
No.
Welcome in.
It was a learning process. I think
Our first ones are always, especially when they.
Well, I think relationships, at least for me, have been this ever slowly evolving. I won't say slowly. We're progressing a little faster now, thanks to therapy. But they've been kind of a reflection of self-worth. And so as I think I kind of encounter like the things I've been thinking and the ways I've been thinking about myself, the people I engage with in that way change. And as I grow, sometimes grow out of those experiences.
100%. What we value in somebody when we're first kind of coming out, we don't value at all.
Absolutely.
Such as looks and status and all of that. It's like, girl, just be able to make toast.
Honestly, or answer a text. But, it's
So you're
fine.
out.
Oh, answer a text, yeah.
Big test. So you're out.
I'm way out. Don't depend on me for anything. I can't even pick you up from
Me too. I was
school.
like, yeah, that cooking up for
Can't even
me.
pick up. Can't even get delivered to the right location.
Okay, let's start. Let's talk about Tonality.
Yeah.
You started 10 years ago. You actually started while you were at USC. I read an interview that you did that it was kind of not like fully inspired, but it was kind of quasi-inspired by the Matthew Shepard story, and that you had heard the story as a younger person, and then you happened to attend a musical celebration of his experience, and you're like, oh, that Matthew Shepard.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that and how Tonality came to be and why it came to be?
Yeah, so I think it was a whole bunch of things. The experiences I told you about in grad school. I remember that moment in 2016 at this choral conference that we all kind of had to go to. And concert, beautiful choir. And I remember thinking, Matthew Shepard. Literally right before the music started, it hit me. I was like, there was this MTV special that I watched in like the random time that no one was at my house.
I remember that
I do.
documentary.
Yeah.
I remember that one too.
Yeah, no one was at home. And I remember it went off right before my parents came back. And I was like, huh. So like no one knew that I experienced this thing. And then I saw this piece and I was like, I don't think I've ever seen a piece of music that really speaks about a person who has died in this way. Because most of the choral music we've done, sometimes it talks about things, but mostly it's flowers, love, noun of your choice. And so when I saw this, I was like, okay, we now have a social justice piece that really speaks to someone in this medium that I've like come to obviously love as I was in my doctorate program. And so I went to dinner with some friends. Ironically, two of them became, or probably were always Trump supporters. So someone asked me like, what do you want to do when you graduate? Because I was about to be done with coursework. And I said, one day when I'm 70, I would love to like have my own choir. Because frankly, all I saw, not Craig Heller Johnson was not 70, but a lot of the conductors I saw who have their own choirs either were professors or like it was.
That's just how the industry was. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so this person was a business person. So of course he's just like, so, what would make your choir different? Like what's marketable? And I was like, I just want to do good music. Who's thinking about markets? I'm a music major. We're all going to be poor. But then
the brutal truth.
Yeah. But then I thought, well, I've been kind of complaining about some of these things I just talked about and like being like one of few Black people in the room and all those experiences, doing Black music that clearly people didn't pay attention to how it was done or how it should be done. And I said, there's a way to do this. There's a way to do it. I've been complaining about it. There's a way to do this. We just have to kind of prioritize it. So I remember I sent out an email to some friends, and I had been forming like kind of small independent choirs since middle school. So this is just another thing.
You also knew what kind of singers you wanted to work with.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I knew I wanted to work with the best singers.
Yeah.
Right. Because like, when I live in a nice house. And all those things.
Right.
And so I reached out to a friend, and she emailed some friend. And so I just sent an email, hey, I'm a grad student and I don't know what I'm doing, but I would love to try to do this choir about diversity and representation and understanding. And clearly that resonated with a bunch of people. And so they came to rehearsal room at USC, and luckily because of LA, I knew we should have some videographers there, just to do some interviews and all that stuff. But,
Someone just wanted to be on camera.
Right? Yeah. And yeah, we just did that first rehearsal, and that was it. Like that was the plan.
Yeah.
Do you remember the music you had at the first rehearsal?
Yeah, I remember because the first song I was like, no one will know this. I arranged Deep River. And I was like, because I arranged it, no one will know it better than me. So I will at least start with this thing because I'm working with the pros.
Yeah.
And so we did that piece. I think we worked on True Colors. We worked on just a couple pieces that day. And it was just the energy in the room was just so positive. I was like, this is beautiful. All right, thanks. That was it. Like there was no plan after that.
Yeah.
Because I was still in school.
I think you shared on Instagram, you showed 10 years ago and now. You're this little nerdy kid, short hair, and you're just like in front of the room. And it's just so, I don't want to say cute because it doesn't give, the importance of it. But to see that to where you guys are now 10 years later, it's so heavy and it's so inspiring.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when we reached our 10th year in June 6th, when we were actually recording Whale Fall on that day. And I was like, what is happening? Even after 10 years, there's obviously you have dreams and you have hopes and goals. And then you have the things that are beyond that. And I feel like we've done even beyond that. So I don't know. For me, it just kind of feels like Tonality's mission to bring people together, to create understanding, to talk about difficult things, that was bigger than any of us. And I think that's why things have happened the way they are.
I was going to ask, what do you attribute the success? There's many groups that get together with really good intentions, from community theater to smaller choirs. And we know, especially being in LA, we're like, oh, great, something else I have to go to. And you're just like,
absolutely.
But Tonality has made this national impression. The piece that the New York Times did on you guys was just stunning and beautiful. And it was so well written, and it just was like, wow. Who makes up Tonality? Talk us through a rehearsal process. How many hours does it take of rehearsal? How often do you do new music?
Yeah, well, I feel like we are a new music ensemble, which is funny because I hear those words and sometimes I kind of cringe. But
yeah, it could be kind of corny in some ways. Yeah.
And
because we saw a musical and they were playing new music in it. And it was not the best.
Yeah, new doesn't always mean great. There is a reason why people listen to classical. Yes.
We can't pretend. If you look at our faces, we cannot pretend. We're like...
Same. Especially when people are singing at me. if I hear
they're like-
something,
Because I also had just like, I'm like, oh no, I was like, I need to update the talks again.
There's like, and then when Steven looks at his watch, I'm like, we're gonna be gone in 10 minutes.
I was at a gospel concert and my face is infamous. Like what I hear just immediately shows. And so I made a conscious effort to smile. And they came up to me.
Oh no,
It probably looks so awkward.
it's like one of those like, mouth smiles. I was like, oh.
No, they're like, Alex, we could tell. I was like, wait. I literally smiled. And they're like, you would be moving and as soon as something went off, your body would stop. I was like, oh no. I was like, okay, well, I'm a conductor.
Yeah, but you were smiling the whole time.
Yeah.
Yes, I said, I was like, I might have been still, but I was happy. But anyways, I think, so now running Tonality is a nonprofit. So all the things I didn't study in school, Excel sheets and tax forms and insurance, these kinds of things. This is stuff that I didn't really learn, but I've had to learn over the 10 years. So Tonality is a lot of things. I tell people I do like 90% admin, and then sometimes I get to do music.
You know who says that is Lou, who runs the Gay Men's Chorus of Los Angeles. And he says for him, he's like, I wish I could be out of the office a little bit. But who are the people that make up Tonality? How do you audition? What I love is Tonality is so diverse. When I look at the choir, I'm like, these people would never hang out together in one place, but they're coming together in such a beautiful way. And the sound of Tonality, you know how choirs can sound like a Middle Ages, like boy choir, or they could sound like a show choir. Tonality like kind of encompasses a lot.
The gift of diversity.
Yeah.
The audition process, the singers are obviously amazing. Our audition process are obviously about music. Speaking earlier, it's either sight reading or oral skills. It's like you have to learn music. I don't know how to choose easy stuff.
Don't say oral skills around me, by the way.
Oh, understood. Yes, I know. Like, no, you're
I'm not that professional. I'd be like,
He's like, wow.
I was like,
first in line.
right, for our friends, AURAL.
Oh my God.
Yes. Just for our friends out here. Yes. And then part of the interview, or part of the audition process is an interview.
I love that.
And I would think in this day and age that would be easy. And sometimes I love asking people, I don't know why you'd show up to any interview not knowing what the organization's about, but why do you want to join Tonality specifically? I just want to sing with good people. I'm like, is that literally what you got from the website? Like,
Right.
Good people's all Tonality websites.
That's good people. Goodpeople.org.
And the Americas and like such as and such as.
We have great holiday parties.
I was like, okay, great. So for me, it's like you must be in tune. And I'm not saying that everyone needs to be a professional speaker, but like you need to have an opinion about something.
And Tonality has gained this respect. It's like it's not just a choir. It's not an ensemble. It's a movement.
Yeah, I think again, naturally, choirs and people coming together to create something bigger and grander and more beautiful than they could by themselves. That's literally what we do just by singing. I feel like this is what the world should be doing. And so it's nice but it doesn't feel to me like it's an extreme to put these things together.
Yeah.
And it's weird that, I still say it's weird that there aren't more choirs doing this kind of work.
I think there are choirs doing what they think that mission is, but they're not doing it well. And because they're not at a professional level, they're not going national like Tonality has. Are the members of Tonality, are they in LA? Are they national?
They're all here.
They're all here in LA.
Yeah.
All right. Well, grab a drink because we're going to dive into another level of your music, which is very important. And I'm going to be very, very honest. Myself as a citizen, myself as somebody that pretends to be involved, had to Google. Running from, Running to, it's a musical reflection and celebration of the life of Ahmaud Arbery. Since you've created the music about this man, I think it's important you tell us who he is for those who might not know, like I did not know.
Yeah. Ahmaud was, man of Georgia, had 2 siblings, the youngest of the 3, lived with his mother, Miss Wanda Cooper Jones, and loved sports, was athletic, clearly loved to run. And yeah, he was, he had a family of electricians and was kind of trying to delve into that field, and was running one morning and was had encountered 3 white men who thought that he was trying to steal from a neighborhood, like residential area, and they followed him on the trucks, encountered him, and murdered him. And so I remember where I was. I was because I think so many people still don't know this story, which to me is really sad, but I think it just shows, especially in that moment, there was so much going on. But I remember I was sitting at my computer in Koreatown, and I read this story, and I only saw about 3 people talking about it, all Black. And I remember thinking, again, we're watching this thing happen over and over, and no one is speaking about it. So actually, we created before this project, we created another project online with about 60 Black musicians. We were in the midst of it was a pandemic, so we're getting all these vocal recordings to put something together. The day that the singers' recordings were due was the day that George Floyd got murdered. And so if you can imagine, we were in it, in this conversation, kind of in the silo. And then the whole world kind of turned over. And I remember from my point of view, I feel like everyone was just going through the Rolodex of who's Black? The number of people who came out of the woodworks, from the Flintstone era, to text me to be like, are you okay? Really asking, am I okay? And I remember I just sent an email to these 60 musicians. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to hold a Zoom open that we all became so proficient in. I'm just going to hold this room and come if you want. Like
a town hall.
Yeah. And about 40 people came, people cried, people laughed. And I was like, are you guys hearing from people who might have known your ancestors? And everyone was just like, okay, so this is a thing. Yeah. So, but it allowed us to kind of release energy. And I think for me, that was really the direction. So going from that time, some years later, I remember thinking, we tell stories in our group. There's so much in this story about Ahmaud, how he was just running. All of us were trying to figure out, running or jogging or walking or just something to life enhancing.
But this was his daily routine.
Just, right. A normal, it's his daily routine. But I remember he got warnings, that neighborhood was not friendly. And no one could have imagined that that's kind of what would have happened. But yeah, I was like, there's so much in this story. And to me, the Considering Matthew Shepard story, what to me was so impactful is that it brought us all into it. You're not just a bystander.
Yeah.
You are in the community where this could happen. And I feel like that's what I wanted this piece to be.
So let's talk about that, because we talk about hot topics here. So when something like this happens to the community, I know somebody like me doesn't want to step on the toes, but it's also not, and you kind of talked about it earlier when somebody asked you something pointedly about, your Black experience. And it's like, well, we all speak English. Can
right.
so many people? So other people should have been involved in getting involved and talking about this story. But I think there's also a fear of people like myself to step in and step on the toes of somebody who actually knows the Black experience. And I think that's one of the biggest struggles we have with the queer community and our minority groups within the queer community. We're so afraid to say the wrong thing, but also we're also being attacked for saying the wrong thing rather than taking it as a moment of education. What do you say to something like this, where more people should have been telling this story, but what if they were afraid of stepping on the toes and speaking on behalf of the Black community?
Oh, I have so many things to say. We're really talking
some more.
Yeah.
That's what I love about the show. We never know. I told you.
It's like if you went into this experience thinking that being an ally was going to be comfortable, it's like some unfortunate facts, and I've had this conversation, about how do I say, what do I say? And my thing is say anything. And I think the biggest thing is when it comes to saying the wrong thing, I said this to a teacher on a Zoom and everyone just kind of looked at me like, Alex, stop. It's like, if you don't want to be centered, stop centering yourself. It's not about you. If you're speaking up for someone and it might go wrong, or you say something and it might be the wrong thing and someone corrects you, okay. If it wasn't about your ego, that thing will not really harm you. Not to say you won't feel bad or embarrassed, but it's if if at the end of the day you can remember, I was trying to do the right thing, and I'm not perfect. No one is. But in that room, when going back to that, had anyone said anything and not turned to me as a Black person to somehow be like the race, like diversity expert in the room? So no, I also just want to exist. And like we all knew that was weird. And unfortunately with Ahmad, a lot of people did get involved, and they got involved in trying to hide it. So I think this is the thing. People are working. And so, luckily, I think, of course, when people really did find out after George Floyd, people were kind of all up in arms. It was just, I don't want to say the thing to do, but.
That's part of it. Here in LA, it's like celebrities, I hate to say it, but they latch on to what the popular thing to do is. It's like, okay, put your money where your mouth is, or put your time where your mouth is. And that goes for all of us. You can't just share a post. Remember when Black Lives Matter, we always had to black out our post?
Well, we had all the
this to share one thing.
Down the street from here.
But how many people actually got involved?
Right. And still, and I was like, do you think those things went away? Like there's another story now, today. Yeah. And it's just like, so I think it was just really talking to people about, you have to be willing, if you care, you have to be willing to put yourself in situations that are uncomfortable. And I mean, when I talk about discomfort, I'm not trying to be rude, but it's like talking to your family members and, having uncomfortable moments, like you will survive, But yeah, I think in these moments, it's like, okay, in the midst of silence, can you consider that your comfort is less important than the thing that needs to be talked about? If you really want culture to change, I mean, it's like anyone who goes to the gym, it is not a comfortable experience if you're going to change your body. Like there's no way you're going to just like sleep to a new body. Like you will have to deal with pain, and you're going to have to deal with probably some setbacks.
It doesn't happen overnight.
It certainly doesn't happen overnight. And, but it happens if you stay persistent. And so, yeah, I feel like right now, a lot of people, social media and otherwise, it's really easy to be like, oh, that thing happened there. That thing happened in Brunswick, Georgia. That's sad for them. Mm-hmm. It's like, with
sort of compartmentalize it all,
It's just like, and there is nothing different that cannot happen right here in LA, that it has not happened here in LA.
I think experiences happen in LA, just people just don't talk about a lot.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think we hide a lot.
And the queer community, certainly, I got some questions from our community during the pandemic. They're like, so, I know like racism happens everywhere, like, but how does it happen like in the queer community?
Like look at the dating apps just for one.
Or you go to a venue, or you like look at all the pool parties that happen at Pride, and you look at who's there. You're like, okay.
Well, I said to say, because someone asked me like, do you see yourself as gay first or Black first? I was like, out here, when we were going into a bar, I was like, I see myself as Black first. And he was like, I don't see myself as white. I was like, you don't see yourself as oxygen breathing either. Like, look around
Clearly
you.
it's misunderstood.
I was like,
clearly they're not.
Right. I was like, there was no
one. The door hits him in the head.
Yeah.
He's a revolver. How does this door work?
It's going in circles.
Right. I made assumptions. I apologize. No, but I was just like, I was literally the only Black person in that bar. I was like, it's crazy that you asked me that and you didn't even like think to look around. This is the issue.
Wow. So talk about Ahmad and how telling his story. I want to know your creative process, because you've arranged and, you've created music. And we talked about all the different ways that you create music, from sight reading to all this. When you have a story like this and it's so heavy, where do you know how to start with this? Did you start with just one melody? Did you start with a piece of his life and think about like, I wouldn't even know where to start. It's such a big story.
Yeah, I still don't know how this thing happened. Well, first, it's funny. The thing wasn't supposed to happen. It wasn't supposed to be me. I was like, someone should write about Ahmad. And I met someone else should write about Ahmad, and then we'll do the choir thing. And then someone said, well, you should write it. And I was like, I don't do that. I conduct. I have degrees in conducting. Let's do that. And then I got a grant, and I was like, okay, well, I got paid. So
You're like, thanks.
Like, now I can do it.
Where's my sheet music?
I'm so funny, the confidence, you know. Yes, you know, rent has to get paid. So no. So yeah, I got also another opportunity to go to the Aaron Copland House in New York, and so
Aaron Copland was my mom's favorite musician. At her funeral,
Wow.
we played fanfare for the common man. I grew up on Aaron Copland.
well, I was in his house for a month.
That just kind of stopped my heart. I think my mom was like saying hi.
Wow.
Well, I just got a chill up my spine, so she might be.
Got a little
Yeah, I was there in the middle of New York, stayed at his house, and so I remember getting off the. Again, everything happens the way it needs to. I was in London, going back to New York, kind of delaying this process until I got to the Copland House. I was like, I'm going to be by myself. I guess I'll have to start this thing. And I ran into the CEO of the LA Opera in the lounge in the London airport. You can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
And so I was telling him, I was like, yeah, I'm about to go start this piece. I'm scared. I've never composed a thing in my life. And he was like, is someone writing the libretto? I was like, no, it's just me. And he was like, well, you know, there's a poet that I know. Maybe, you know, she can kind of help guide. And that was it. And I was like, he doesn't have my email. By the time I got to New York, he had already connected us. And I was like, okay, things just keep falling like this.
Right.
Because I kept trying to say no. This is why I keep going to church, you know. It's like these things you can't make up. So I went to the house and I just read articles and watched interviews. And I remember watching a lot of Miss Cooper Jones speaking. And this poet just told me to journal.
Yeah.
So actually, I didn't write a lot of music at all. A friend said, you know, maybe you can come up with a theme. And I was like, well, I know I want running to be kind of like the running theme, no pun intended there. And so I used his name to spell out a theme. So using A, obviously on the piano, H as Bach did, used B natural, M used E for me, A, oot, so C natural, and D.
That's crazy. The fact that you know what that means and you know what that means, and I just nodded, is crazy. No, but that's almost like a math formula.
Yeah, I love math. Yeah,
Well, that's what musicians
yeah.
love math.
Yeah, and I was like, Bach did it. So yeah, D, 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 D is the first 6 notes you hear in the piece.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I was like, oh, we have one good idea. Okay, now let's create a piece.
And did it just flow, or was it a stop and start kind of thing?
Some things flowed. The first and the last movement made sense to me. So the cello plays that piece. When the choir comes in, they also sing that. And I kind of always knew because probably just watching Miss Cooper Jones, I know I want her to be a character, but first, also then there was like, am I writing a story? Am I just giving a reflection? Who are you to write on the Ahmad story? I finally had to put that down because it's like, you know, I took the check and I'm in this house. So it's like, so, you know, you're gonna have to say something. Just kind of wrote a couple of things. OG, who is an amazing artist, we had met again just through random things, and she helped kind of co-write the whole thing. Most of the movements came together well. There was one movement, it's called Running From Running To, that was really to me you have to bring yourself into the story. That was the hardest one to write because there's so much I wanted to say. And then I started talking. I got in touch with Ahmad's mother.
That was one of my questions. You've had the benefit of having conversations.
It is a benefit now. It definitely did not feel like that at the beginning.
Yeah.
What were you scared of?
I mean, that I had started this piece. I didn't talk to her until like about a year and a half into this process. So it's like, what if she says she doesn't like it?
She doesn't like it,
yeah. You know, I don't want anyone to write about, you know. It's like, we have a premiere. And I had delayed.
Was she aware of this was going on?
Until I reached out to her, she had no idea. And I was trying to, I think in my way, I was cowardly just trying to like, just do the thing. But as I remember thinking to myself, everyone only knows Ahmad for him dying.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Yes.
You know, I was like, And that happens to so many, Sandra Bland, it happens to so many people. You only hear about them by how they were murdered, which actually has nothing to do with them at all. That's like what happened to them, like what happened to them. So I was like, oh, if I'm going to write, and as just like Craig Heller Johnson with Matthew Shepard, he got in touch with the family. I was like, I can't write this without at least trying. So I went online, on the internet, and I was like, Ahmaud Arbery Foundation. Okay, I'm going to call them. I have this speech ready. I'm going to talk to someone who's going to talk to someone who's going to put me in touch with the mother. I call the number, and the woman says hello. And
no.
After watching so many interviews, I was like, I knew it's her. And I know I was making fun of English. I lost the ability to speak. Hi, I'm sorry. Is this Miss Cooper Jones? And of course she's like, what is going on? And so I like tried to like get through this, and she was like, can you try calling me back later? And I was like, yeah.
Which is even more nerve-wracking, by the way.
Well, and I was just like, I'm wasting her time. You know, all the fear just kind of came out.
Right, because you didn't expecting it that quickly.
No.
Yeah.
I was like, I could talk to anyone about talking to her. So I called back for a couple of weeks and didn't hear anything. And I was like, so I said, okay, I need to at least leave a voicemail so I have it kind of on record that like I tried.
Right.
You know? So, I remember I called again. It was in February, and I obviously composed myself. I was like, you know who you're going to reach now. So talked to her, and she was like, you're the film guy. I was like, no film. I'm a music composer now, I guess. And I'm writing this piece, and I don't want it to be about Ahmaud's death. I want it to be about him. And she said, you know, this weekend is the weekend of his, like the anniversary of his passing. Can you let me get through that? And then we'll talk. So by that time, I had already recorded a demo of one of the songs, actually the song of Ahmaud, Thinking and Running, with one of my friends who ended up singing the piece. And so we got on Zoom, and, you know, I just told her, hey, you know, I wanted to play you just a little bit of the piece. And so she said, sure. And so it wasn't until I pressed play that I realized what I was like about to play this thing for the woman who knew him like the most. And so she turned off her screen, and I kind of turned off my screen, and I just pressed play and just kind of let the piece run. I'm just sitting there like just trying to hold it together. And, you know, we come back and she says, that was so beautiful. I wish I could hear it 1,000 times. And I just start bawling on Zoom. And like, it still makes me emotional. Just thinking about kind of...
What do you mean almost?
Yeah.
Of course.
Just thinking about kind of like all that relief, I think.
Yeah.
And she was telling me about the Ahmaud Arbery Foundation. And she's like, we have this initiative called Running Free. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, can I play you, or can I read you the last movement of this piece called Running Free? And she was like, this is how you know that things are meant to be. And I remember I was like, OG was sitting downstairs. We were still working on the piece. I called my partner at the time. And like every time I called someone, they had to wait for me to stop crying so hard just to like be able to tell her what happened. But yeah, she came out to the concert. We asked her to record something, so she speaks on the album. Ahmaud's sister came with us when we performed in Oregon. So like it's been really amazing to get to know the family. And obviously kind of just champion their efforts to make sure this story is known.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, Alexander, it probably comes from this source that you came from it with such a great motivation and energy. I think so many people in Hollywood try to capitalize on stories and make it about themselves, or try to just, you know, what's hot right now, like we said. But the fact that you came from it to from such a sincere place, and I think that's evident with how Tonality is so successful. You're in it for the actual mission. You're not in it to be the famous one, you know? And I think that really reads across, and she probably felt that, and through her music. Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy how all that worked out.
For all the entertainers that listen, be more sincere.
Yeah.
Right.
And on September 20th in Southern California, you're celebrating this album in a huge way.
Yeah, we're going to be doing another performance, the second performance of it here. Miss Cooper Jones is going to come again. And so it'll be nice to do it at the EBO. We've done a lot of our really special concerts. You know, deal with the Grammy nominations there. So it's a very special place for us. And so, yeah, this will be kind of, into our 11th season, kind of the big showing of a Tonality produced concert, a Tonality, performed concert. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to being able to perform this again in a way that doesn't feel so new. That premiere was obviously just nothing but anxiety.
Right.
But now we
Which
know
is
the
fun
piece.
too.
It was.
There's always that kind of, as a performer, and that kind of energy is fun.
Luckily, I was able to perform movements of it for people, and so it didn't feel like we were putting on the whole thing.
Right.
I will say, when we went to Oregon, one of the instrumentalists just didn't show up for the concert.
What?
Like we did the rehearsals, we did the dress rehearsal, and the first half of the concert was of another album that we did, America Will Be. We love being in Oregon, and they love us, thank God, because we had the break, and I was, that first half was perfect. I should have known better. So we get on stage, and one of the instrumentalists is looking at me. I was like, she's like, he's not here. I was like, who is not here? And they're Oregon performers, so I didn't know them. And so the bass player's not here. And I look over, I'm like, I look at the choir, and they look at me like, so I turn around to the audience, and I was like, we're still waiting on one person to join us on stage. And when the audience members yells, tell us his name. And everyone starts laughing, and I was like, I'll let him introduce himself when he gets here.
Did he ever show up?
No. Well, he showed up in the sixth movement.
To do what? Collect programs?
Honestly, I was like, it's probably best that he wasn't allowed on stage. I think they said he looked disheveled. I was like, well, he should have been.
As I take another sip.
Oh,
what was he doing?
I think they said.
How many hours late was that at that point?
So the concert started at, I think, 7 or something. We were probably like within 8:30. I mean,
Yeah.
but my thing is like,
But he's supposed to be there right before that.
I
too.
mean, an emergency, that's fine, but like it's 2026. You have access to a cell phone. Like, just let someone know.
Right.
And I didn't think that I would ever have to check and count the adult players. Are you all in attendance? Please raise your hand. So that was fun. And that was in front of his sister who had never heard the piece.
Oh, God.
And the piano player there was like, I'll play his part, because the Ahmad jogging, the first half of the piece is just the bass and the soloist.
Oh, God. Damn.
So
So that was like a pivotal spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the only way that she could get the music was from my score. So I had to hand her my iPad. Now, I do a lot of our concerts memorized, but I had not planned on doing the whole piece. So I was like, we're just gonna go.
There we go.
This is where like being
So that's what you're saying.
flexible
This time you're not
comes
going to
in.
have all that.
Yeah,
going
I just get to like
on,
do
right?
the. I was like,
so that was a unique
oh
situation.
my goodness.
All right, as we wrap up, I want to bring it back to you.
Yes.
We look at your resume. I've watched many of your interviews, and you're such a great spokesperson. You say the right things, but there's this sense that like tonality and everything. It's like it's always you. Like it's music, 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 but it's also activism, activism, activism. You have to say the right thing. You have to be on point. Doesn't that get exhausting? Do you ever get tired of like, I don't want to be the spokesperson today. I don't want to direct music today.
Yeah, I don't want to answer emails today.
Yeah. Or I don't want to be like, the leading source on the Ahmad story.
Yeah. I remember thinking this during the pandemic, because I was kind of like thrust into a lot of like leadership things. I think maybe even more than exhausted, I've been waiting for these conversations to happen. I always tell people I don't know how to have shallow conversations anyway. So I think when this came up, it was kind of like, you've been asking for this? And yeah, it's difficult, but I think for me, it's more difficult to kind of sit still, something I'm also still working on. So I think just being able to have the opportunity to say or do something when times feel difficult, and America's giving us many opportunities for this right now, I think it's actually more relieving. But I am also having to find balance, because yeah, it does get hard and heavy. And when you are seen as that person,
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's also just having to reclaim the like space. This is really for me more than from anyone else, to be like, you can sit, like the world's going to do what the world does, but you also can't show up if you're exhausted, if you're burnt out. So you need to find time to like rest. So I've been, balance. Working
So
on
how
that.
do you take care of your mental health? You know, I know you are spiritual, faithful, but besides that, how do you take care of your mental health?
Start the day at the gym. I was like,
That's
I tell people, I was like, I'm not
meditation
strong
too.
enough to like carry all my mental weight and the weights at the same time.
Oh.
So I just have to like
So you
put that
check
down.
out here
Yes,
and
exactly.
check in here.
Yes.
Plus, a lot of people don't realize being a conductor, whether it's in a studio, whether it's with Tonality, you know, you saturate all the energy of your choir members, and some of the choir members may be having a bad day. They want to tell you their story. They want to, you know, you're their leader. You saturate all that energy.
And artistic people can be a little bit eccentric.
Yes, we can. Yes, we
Get
can.
out.
But luckily, I would say now that Tonality has created this kind of like storytelling empathy, I think sometimes I'm able to lean in the organ. When I was disheveled, the singer sang it differently. And I said, I don't think I've ever felt, I mean, I love our singers, but I've never felt probably in a place where I had to lean on them like that. But I've never felt a place where like I could tell by the way that they were singing it that they were trying to take care of me in the middle of the performance. That was something that like, and I think it was also a lesson of like, yeah, you do hold a lot of that weight, but also if you put that down, other people will pick it up. Yeah.
If you surround yourself with good people,
Yes.
Right.
that's
right.
another
It's a big
thing.
if.
Yeah.
Right.
Support.
That's
Yeah, you
right.
sit in a little IKEA chair, you might not have so much support.
As we're wiggling on these chairs now. We love Straw Hat's chairs. I'm hanging on by a thread. But let's talk about body image. You know, you talked about being overweight as a kid. You share this on your on your social media. Not only do we have body image as entertainment people, but as queer people, we have a lot of body image issues. And you've had a transformation, and you celebrate that. But talk about it, because you're also in the spotlight all the time as well. And then you go to the Grammys, you wear a certain outfit that's a little fluid.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's a little fluid, yeah. So talk about how you deal with body image and pressure, how you made that transition from being heavy to where you are now.
Yeah. So, you know, it's funny. I attempted to transition like and change my body, improve, I guess, fitness. When I was in North Carolina, I did the P90X thing.
Tell me, I did the... And how much did that cost at that time? And you would pay monthly?
It was a mess.
It was the worst thing I've ever done. I thought I was going to kill myself.
Well, it's funny because I did the exercises, and at the time I didn't know that was like all the diet. I was like, oh, that's cute. So I moved out here.
Tony Horton, I think, was behind it.
I think, I can't, you know, I just hated whoever was there.
I feel you. Because you would put the disc in, this was back in the day. I would put the disc in, and he'd be like, today you're going to lose 10. And he didn't say it, but like,
Right.
I was like motivated. 5 minutes, I was like,
Is
fuck
this
you.
like the old Tybo machine, like the other old machine thing?
It was like the Solo Flex.
the
It was
Solo
like
Flex.
that.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking
But you
of.
would buy these series of, and he was going to transform your body. He was already fit. He didn't get
That's what you're watching a
shit.
whole bunch of like abs. That's all I'm
it was
saying.
You want something that's
ridiculous.
already fit. It's like, here, do these things that this
Yeah.
company's not paying
5
for.
minutes
Me to
in, I
do.
was
Really?
dead.
Yeah.
But I bought the outfit. I bought, I'm
Okay,
going to be
you're
there
in.
with you.
Yeah, so I did it. I think I did it twice. P180X. And so
This makes me laugh so much.
and so I moved out here. Through another long story, but irrelevant. I met the cheerleaders at UCLA. And so I was hanging out with them, and I'd done cheerleading at Wake Forest, but these cheerleaders were like living in the gym.
Yeah.
And so in order to hang out with the only people I knew, I went to the gym.
But they didn't pressure you into that? You just
No,
felt
they
that.
were so chill. And I think because I had been doing cheerleading, I wasn't weak.
Yeah.
Right.
So under all the padding,
You had a
I
good
actually
core.
had like,
Yeah.
so
Right, you had the foundation. Right
yeah.
there.
And so the assistant cheerleading coach, Sophia, she's amazing. She was like, Alex, for a week, eat everything you're eating. Just when you get a cheeseburger, put one of the buns on the side. When you get like a Caesar salad, get the dressing on the side. I just did those little things. I lost 10 pounds in a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait a minute. Well, first it tells you how bad I was eating, but also I was like, I didn't even change. Like I didn't change any decisions except those little things. 10 pounds. What happens if I actually try? And I lost 50 pounds in that year. And I was like, oh, it was the food. Because I had been going to the gym and I was doing that regularly. Yeah, in that first year, I went from like 250 to like 195. Went back home to North Carolina. People were like, "Are you okay? Like, what's going on?" I was like,
Yeah, I'm fantastic.
diet and exercise.
But with your busy schedule, though, do you feel that kind of pressure? And I know because my weight goes up and down. My closet is skinny, middle, big, bigger. Like that's, and I refuse to get rid of like some in my mind. I think someday I'm going to get back. Probably not, but you know what I mean? But do you ever, like, do you just feel that pressure all the time, though?
It's funny, you know, being here in LA, even for like a short amount of time, and like being bigger and then being fit and then doing keto and like getting ripped in like one moment. I think I learned the most in those 2 weeks when I was like going to the gym, and then like all of a sudden people are like, wow, like, you know, who are you? And I was like, I worked out beside you every day for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was like a pretty privilege.
It was
attached
crazy
to it,
to be like, I literally have seen you every day. And now that like I've like gotten really small.
Now I get the attention.
Yeah. Like you didn't even see me.
Oh, I hate that.
Not like, oh, you look better. It was like, where you come from? I was like,
Yeah, so like you just showed up there.
yeah, right. So I was like, oh man, and I see that, and this is why I try to be friendly to whoever I see at the gym, because I know what it looks like.
And they're trying.
And yeah, and just that like we are really, there's a lot of opportunity for growth, I would say, about how we don't, or we perpetuate what we haven't healed from. And so for some of us who sometimes have, whether it's being gay, being big, whatever, come out here, find the body we want, and then we do that same kind of rejection that we all hid from.
Experience, basically.
And it's disgusting. Too. And I was like, the pool parties, I've been to them, I've been invited, and it's just like, I remember I showed up to one pool party and I was like, was there like a body fat scanner at the gate?
Well, invites usually do.
And I was like, it doesn't have to be like this. And you all should know better, because most of us are coming from places that we were rejected. And it's just like, why do you come here and then create that same type of like mean girl mentality? It's an emergency, and we have to run out
the sirens. You know, we he composed that. And tonality.
This is by design. Call the police.
Call the manager.
Yeah, so it's a problem, and I think we can do better. And so I've just kind of said, I will not be another cog in that wheel.
Yeah.
So.
This has been such a conversation.
Whirlwind of
We have
emotions.
to touch on the 2 movies that you have coming out. The Odyssey, we know Christopher Nolan's, it's so talked about everywhere.
Yeah.
It's stacked. It's
So
stacked.
the 3 a.m. IMAX screening of the night it performs across where I live at the Grove is sold out, but for 2 seats at 3 a.m. And it's a 3.5-hour movie.
It's pretty much one of the most anticipated movies.
Yeah.
Here, I think.
And also Whale Fall is another, it's kind of the new Jaws, but it's a little bit more intense, I think.
It's a sperm whale? Which whale is
God,
it?
it's so inappropriate. Damn.
I didn't say it was a cum whale.
It is a sperm whale. Tomato.
But people
It's a
don't know-
sperm whale,
yeah.
and biologically, yes, you can be swallowed by a whale and survive.
Well, this
inside.
specific one, that's why that's
Yeah.
what the story's about, is a swimmer gets swallowed by it. And it was actors from Weapons as well.
Yeah. But your music is in both of these films coming
That's
out.
awesome.
Yeah.
So crazy.
So the Odyssey was the craziest day. Okay, first started as I do at the gym, and someone was doing the banded like tricep exercise. Don't do those if you don't have something like on the ground, because I didn't know that those like dip machines that he put the band over are not actually bolted to the ground. So I had my headphones in. I'm like doing triceps on something else, and I see the whole machine. Now he's face away
over?
on him.
That machine should be. That's like there should be. It should be.
It should be bolted, but it's also not what it's there for.
Yeah.
So I mean, look, whatever. But I just remember watching it like slow motion, and I was like, it's not good. The whole thing's good. And I was too far away to actually do anything about it. And so he's facing away. The whole thing falls on him. He's just kind of like giving like Wicked Witch of the West, like just like
His little feet
just
hanging out.
and he doesn't move. And so I sprint across the gym. And it's funny, people are like, we saw you running and we knew something was wrong. So a whole bunch of people came over and helped, and like he was fine. He had like a little like some bruises. I laughed a little. I always laugh when people fall. It's bad.
We send each other all the time. It's like, that kid got hit in the head. Yay!
I just cry. It's really bad. But anyways, so
I love it.
I hit it enough. I laughed a little after he did. And then I went back to my...
So he was fine.
He was fine. He got up, probably a little embarrassed, but luckily it was early enough at the gym. I literally do one exercise, and then I get a call from Ludwig's wife. And they're like, what are you doing today?
Just saving some people at the gym.
Saving a life, as one does at 8:30 in the morning. And she was talking, and she's like telling me, hey, we need a conductor for this session. Now, I live under a rock, and I don't know anything about anything. And I was like, okay, what time? She's like, it starts at 10. It was 8:30. I live close enough to the gym that I don't drive. So I was like, I don't have stuff. I don't have my car. Just send me the address, right? And so I run home and get ready for this thing. I get there, and they're like, so it's for the new Chris Nolan movie.
That seems so insane to me.
It is an insane story.
Almost $1 billion budget.
But the funny thing is, I didn't know who Chris Nolan was at the time. So I know.
That's probably better for your nerves, by the way.
I said, I'm either the
It's an
best.
independent film.
It's like, has he done anything?
I was just like, I remember I was like, doing the things and like, yeah, this is for Chris Nolan. I was like, this is great. So where do you need me to stand? I was like, even if it
Did
was
they show you
big,
the, music?
I literally had to get there, look at the music, the choir.
And the screen is there too.
So we're not looking at any of the stuff.
Oh, you're not looking at the screen.
Yeah. I think that was just kind of very, secret.
Yeah, it's very
But the
secret.
singers are there. Some singers sing in Tonality, someone sang with other else, and they're like, Alex, because they already had a session, so this was the second one. And so they're like, what are you doing here? I was like, I don't know.
Why'd they fire the first guy?
They didn't fire him. He was out of town. Because I called him because I was like, what, can you tell me what's going on? He was like, so this is what you need. It's just kind of like this, Ludwig's like this.
He was the bassist from Oregon.
Exactly.
He's like, I can't be there right now. I'm a little disheveled.
You did it again, sis.
Hashtag disheveled.
Right. I was like, hashtag thank you. I was going to say.
Next time I call in, I'll be like, hashtag disheveled.
Right. So
I love him.
yeah, so I literally go in, and it's funny, I didn't think about it until weeks later. I was like, speaking of sight reading, I'm conducting. So I'm like, I'm not, so I'm like, okay, I'm looking here, the choir is doing what they're doing. And I was like, I'm just going to see, and we're just going to work it out. And I remember I called a friend later, and they're like, yes. I was like, yeah, this is crazy. I did this thing. Like, they mentioned Chris Nolan, and he was like, is this for the Odyssey? And I was like, I think someone mentioned Odyssey. I think someone mentioned that word. He was like, Alex, you're so terrible. And then I looked it up, and I was like,
oh.
Then you got your paycheck, you're like,
so great. So yeah, so I'm gonna look. It took me a while to find tickets, but I finally found them. So I'll be going Thursday.
You should be invited to the premiere.
I think the premiere, it was like
going on around the world. Yeah, they was in Paris.
Yeah, they did London.
That, yeah.
Can you tell us because you didn't even see the screen. You don't
yeah,
know.
I don't know.
When the choir comes up.
So you're gonna like see it like when it happens in the movies.
Yeah.
That was me. It was like,
but I've heard some of the music in the trailer, and I was like, oh, okay. It's so funny. When I moved to LA, I don't think I was even thinking about singers in film. Like when the first time I got asked to do SAG, I was like, SAG. Like
you're like, I don't SAG no more. No.
Yeah, so it was cool, and now it'll be nice to see. And I've told friends and family, since, and yeah, just to think that like you said, one of the biggest projects,
right?
And just to be the choir nerd.
Yeah, just waltzing in. And be like, let me just do this, you guys. All right. Love that.
All right, we definitely have to wrap up. We have a lot more we can talk about, but you have been so great sharing so much with us. We really appreciate it. What do you want most to build with your legacy of music? When people think of ALB, which I shortened.
Yeah, right.
For time.
Now?
Do you see what I have to put up with? White people.
I'll see myself out.
He'll do this on his way out. But after all said and done, with Tonality, with your own music, with your own personal experience, what do you want your legacy to be?
bills are paid consistently. No, I think, legacy. I guess I would love for people to know that really you don't have to be confined. And you can lead with purpose and it not kind of box you in. To me, I feel like that has been the thing that's opened the most doors.
Yeah.
And so kind of like, don't be afraid of if you don't fit in something. I think, there's a reason why you have passion. I feel like that comes from something divine or something universal if you want to. And so if you're brave enough to follow that, I think these opportunities will kind of find their way to you.
I love that.
I don't know if that's a legacy, but yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Where can people find and follow you?
Well, let's see. Alexander L. Blake everywhere. AlexanderLBlake.com. Our Tonality, OUR Tonality.
Yes. All right.
Well.
What an episode.
Another one for the books.
I need to take a breath. That's all, folks. It's always a grab bag of fun here every week on The Rocks. You never know what we're going to be talking about. Thank you to our audience. Thank you to Steven, our engineer for today. Late but great. Hashtag Steven, late but great. Big thank you to Straw Hut Studios, not to your chairs.
Please like, share, and subscribe so you can continue bringing this fabulous programming coming your way. Until next time,
Stay happy, stay healthy, stay sexy, and if you drink,
stay tipsy.
This has been another episode of On the Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks On Air. Find everything On the Rocks for free at OnTheRocksRadioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay fabulous.